What up, bro carts? What up, ho carts? Today I'm going to be looking at all the technology that I use to create my videos. So I'm going to be looking at my cameras, lenses, camera accessories, and even the computers and software that I use to edit all of my videos on. I'm actually really excited to make this video because I'm really into cameras and technology in general, and I spent a lot of research and time trying to find the best possible cameras and equipment to use to get the best looking shot. So it's kind of cool to be able to share that with you guys. So let's get started. Let's get this bread. Let's start off with the cameras that I use. The 5 cameras that I currently own are the A7 III, the Sony a6500, the Canon 70D, Canon G7X, and this small little GoPro. Out of all these cameras, the Sony a7 III is by far my favorite. It's full frame sensor, 4K, shoots in 30 frames or 1080 at 120 frames. There's no crop when you're shooting at 24 frames, so you can just get like the most beautiful wide shot. Same sensor as an actual film camera, so it's a beautiful camera. It's really amazing quality, really amazing picture, good low light, fantastic autofocus, just an amazing all around camera. Now let's talk about my secondary camera, the camera I actually used before this, which is the Sony a6500. I'm currently shooting on this camera, but it's pretty much like the a7 III, but a little bit smaller. It has a crop sensor, which means the image isn't as wide and there isn't as much light let in. The quality is not the same as this, but it's still very, very good quality. The Sony a6500 also shoots in 4K. What I think pushes the a7 III way over the a6500 is the quality of the image. This has a way bigger sensor, which means there's no crop, and pretty much the overall camera is just set up to shoot on better than this camera. And to quickly go over my other cameras, I have this Canon 70D, which is the first camera I bought, and it's a pretty good camera overall. It just doesn't have the quality that I want to keep using it. It's also very big and bulky. That's fine if you're fine with that, but I wanted something that is at least a little bit smaller, better quality. Fun fact, Canon kind of just left the camera game and weren't really focusing on moving forward, so Sony kind of took the wheel and started making really good 4K mirrorless cameras. Oh, and yeah, this is mirrorless and this is mirrored, so it is pretty nice in that aspect. And then the last 2 cameras are just this little GoPro Hero Session, just like the first one. It's not really good quality, but gets the job done if I want to go underwater, throw this camera or whatever. It's pretty sturdy. And then lastly, this Canon G7X, which is a really good little point and shoot camera. It's really, really easy to vlog. If you don't want to focus on anything, you can kind of just use this to kind of film yourself. So now that we've looked at cameras, let's just quickly look at the lenses that I use, because lenses are really, really important. My main everyday shooter lens is the Sony 10 to 18 millimeter f4 lens, and it's not the best lens you can get, but it works perfectly with my Sony a7 III. This is actually a crop sensor lens, which means I can't use the entire sensor on this camera without there being some vignetting, but I can use this camera in crop mode. And until I get the Sony 16 to 35 2.8, I'm just going to be using this and using the crop sensor. But yeah, this lens is really good because you can get a really, really wide field of view. You can use it indoors, and it's just amazing for vlogging. There's a little bit of a range on it, so you can zoom in a little bit. It's just a really great, good quality lens. Something else I actually almost forgot to mention are ND filters. I've talked about these a little bit before, but they're really, really good for blocking out light in your lens, so you don't have overexposed shots. And these allow you to get a shallower depth of field on your shots without too much light being let in, without everything looking overexposed. Yeah, I highly recommend ND filters. I actually only have 3 Sony lenses, but the second is the 70 to 300 G series lens. This is an amazing telephoto lens. It's really good for portraits at 70 and just really good for zooming in. I got a lot of use out of this lens for filming sports and stuff, but it's really good for just filming B-roll or just being able to zoom in on things. I take a lot of pictures of my dog with this lens, and overall it's really good if you need a telephoto lens. It's really good quality. It's full frame, so I can use the entire frame on the Sony a7 III. And yeah, and then the third is the lens that I'm using right now, the 16 to 50 kit lens. It's a terrible quality lens, but it works really, really well for getting the job done. It's an amazing kit lens to use on the Sony a6500. So if you want something convenient and pretty good quality, then it's a good lens to pick up. Now let's just quickly go over the lenses for the Canon 70D. I just have the same 10 to 18, but it's not as good quality in my opinion. It's very plasticky. The image looks fine, but not as good as the Sony. Sony's actually killing the camera game right now. You can kind of just see the difference in quality from the two. The second Canon lens I have is this really cheap 18 to 55. It was $120. It's like a really cheap plasticky lens, but it gets the job done for 18 to 55. Like, it's a little zoom lens, not bad, but I wouldn't recommend picking this up really. And that's all my lenses. So now let's get into other accessories like microphones, tripods, and things like straps. When I'm picking out accessories, I really don't want to have like a bunch of extra things I don't need on my camera. Like I want everything to have a function. So I keep my camera pretty minimalistic. It's just this Joby GorillaPod, like standard vlogging equipment. This Rode VideoMic Pro, but it's like the Pro Plus, which means it has like all these different options on the back. And if you use this microphone a lot, like you can see that there's a big difference in like the original Pro and the Pro Plus. Like the Pro Plus has like low cut, like high pass filters, like plus 20 decibel, minus 10 decibel. It's just it's really helpful to have in different situations when filming. This is kind of just what I run around with a lot. There are times where I can't really carry one of these around because it makes people uncomfortable in public. So sometimes I just take off this and use this sling. Like I actually got this recently, but it's a Peak Design like leash, and it's really easy because you can just like clip it on to, like these little tassel things. And a big like crazy looking camera just turns into a normal looking like standard on the neck camera. So people aren't as uncomfortable with this, and it's easier like for filming out in public. If you don't have anyone to film you, like I highly recommend one of these because like just trying to hold the camera on your own like this like really doesn't look good. Like it's really not easy. I also use this microphone a lot in my videos, and it's just this like Saramonic, like really trash, terrible quality microphone. Like it always cuts out when I need it the most. Like I can't rely on this thing at all. But I'll have a link below if you want to like buy it. It wasn't too expensive. It's like about $180, and that's a pretty good price for a microphone like this. But it's not good quality at all. It is really good for interviews and like just talking into it in a loud environment because it's just your voice. So it's good in that aspect. Just you can't rely on it at all. The next microphone is this microphone that I always use for like sit down or like talking or standing videos. And it's this SE Mics, like it's I think a musical recording microphone. Like it's not really made for making videos. I had to figure out a way to power it and also connect it to my camera. So I have like this weird box that powers it and then plugs into the camera through a 3.5 millimeter jack. And it's really convenient, but like the whole setup was really like hard to figure out. It still works perfect though, so I'm still happy with it. Like I can talk into this and it just works. Oh, and something else that I actually almost forgot about, something that you kind of need if you want to set up a shot on the A6500 or the A7 III is one of these things. This is just an external monitor. This is like the cheapest one you can buy, and it's an Andy Cine 4K like field monitor. It's really good for just like being able to set the camera up and like seeing what the shot looks like. Like I'd have no idea what the shot looks like if I didn't have this thing just like right here, like next to me. So I think that this is a really important thing to have. And then just to wrap all of my camera and accessory stuff up, I have this small little VideoMic Rode mic, and it's like really good quality like for a little tiny mic. If you don't want to have like a huge giant mic like this works perfectly. There isn't really a lot of control in this, and you do need phantom power, so it only works with certain cameras, but it also gets the job done if like you need something small. Like the last little thing I have is a smaller Joby GorillaPod, which is also very helpful for like using a little small setup. You can kind of just keep this with you. This looks way less menacing than this does. That concludes all the accessories though, so let's get into the computers I use to edit. I edit on Final Cut Pro 10. When it comes to computers, I'm kind of a Mac boy, and I know PCs can be better and they're cheaper and everything, but pretty much the same reason everyone else uses Mac. It's really easy, it's really simple. You can really trust like all the operating software. You don't have to worry about like setting anything up or building your own computer. So I'm just a Mac boy. The main computer I use to edit on is an iMac Pro. This is an amazing computer for editing. It has really good specs. It's really fast. It can render really quickly, and it's fantastic for just editing 4K and rendering 4K footage all the time. I actually have it set up on this little workshop table with a light around it, and it's really nice to edit on that because I can kind of go into my own world and just like focus on what I'm editing. It's really helpful, especially for editing daily, because I can just go sit down, go in work mode, edit, upload my video, and it's all chill. The one downside I'd say for this computer is the price. It's at $5,000, so I'm currently paying monthly for it, but it's really worth it because I can have a really streamlined workflow with this computer. I don't have to worry about sacrificing any of like my ideas for the computer's processing power. If you don't want to edit on an iMac or like an actual desktop, I'd recommend editing on a MacBook Pro. This is what I started off using. Like, this is what I used before I had an iMac, and it works really well. This one is pretty old. It's a late 2014 model. I got it in 2015. For the 3 years I've had it, it's never failed me. But now that it's getting older, there is some deterioration on the battery, so it doesn't hold a charge as well. It still does its job perfectly, and I can edit on it if I need to, but I usually just try to keep it all for the iMac Pro and just use that for like the best editing results, I guess. The last thing I have to talk about is just hard drives, like what I use to store all my footage, because I don't like to delete anything. I like to just keep it all on storage, like hard drives. Like, I can look back like on this hard drive, which has footage from December 2017 to August 2018. The other hard drive attached to my laptop is from August to October, but it's currently encrypting, so I can't use it for like another month. And then this other 2 terabyte one, which just has footage from like October to December. And these are amazing hard drives because they never fail you. I have this WD My Passport hard drive, and this is a piece of shit. This is the worst hard drive I've ever used. I've only ever used 3 different types of hard drives in my time creating video. The first is this like 1 terabyte Seagate hard drive, and I bought it in 2016. It still works to this day. It's perfectly fine. Never had any problems with it. The second being LaCie hard drives, which are like really good. Never had any problems with them. And the third being this Western Digital Passport, which is just garbage. Never buy Western Digital. See, I thought I was getting a deal, just like paying for this at its price point. But when you lose a year of footage, you really regret not spending the extra money on something like this. In conclusion, all this stuff costs a lot of money, and you might be wondering how I purchase all this stuff. I think it's important to note that like everything I buy is pretty much like stuff that I can use to make videos and like make my videos better. Like, I don't really buy or collect anything else. Like, I hardly buy clothing. It's mostly thrifted. I don't eat out all the time. Like, I like to save money there. I'm lucky enough to be able to work with my dad and like save money working with him, going with him to his job and like working as like an add-on, kind of saving money from that. YouTube also really helps me buy new stuff like clothing drops and ad revenue. So I appreciate you guys for watching my content and helping me get the bread to get equipment that can make really good content. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for that. And that's where I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys liked it. To the 5 of you who are still here, leave a like, hit that subscribe button. I can do more review type content on specific items that I talked about if you guys are interested, but I feel like not too many people are interested in the equipment I use. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you next video.